Om Shanti, good evening.
Om Shanti, Sister Madhvi.
Om Shanti.
Om
Sorry
Shanti,
for
Sister
disturbing
Madhvi.
you.
No,
Sorry for
okay.
disturbing.
Yeah.
Om Shanti, Sister Madhvi.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti. And so we will be having another topic this evening, continuing our series on happiness. And so this whole month we have discussed and shared on different topics of happiness, the nourishment of happiness. And also last week we had on keeping calm and staying wise and being kind. And so we were talking about different aspects of happiness, how happiness is not just a virtue, but when there is happiness, actually what happens, how happiness actually works as a nourishment. It's not just happiness means I'm always, smiling and I have to be cheerful, but it's an internal power. It's an internal stability that the soul is experiencing. And when there is this virtue of happiness, how the mind is more stable, how the mind is more strengthened and powerful, and even something like a mountain like situation comes in front of us, the soul is able to, I'm able to actually handle it much better because I have the power or the nourishment of this happiness. And so we also went into details of how there are some of the aspects to understand about happiness, like thinking life as a game and not taking it too serious, and having also certain spiritual endeavor to maintain this happiness. And it's not just a destination, but it's a journey. In the last session, also, we were talking about how the UN has chosen this International Day of, for the International Day of Happiness, the theme of keeping calm and staying wise and being kind, how it brings happiness into our lives. And so it's wonderful. Yes, we spoke about this happiness and how one of the things, important things about happiness we spoke is definitely staying calm, keeping calm. Sometimes it's better you keep calm rather than you react to things. And so various aspects actually we touched in our last sessions. And today, something very interesting. I thought, each session actually, let's go a little more deeper into what is this happiness. Let's make it more authentic, not just I'm happy, but how much is this happiness really working in our life? How much are we really happy in our life? So, when we talk about happiness, one of the main aspects that come to our mind is relationships, because I can be happy with myself, oh, I isolate myself, I'm fine and I can live really happy without anybody in my life. So we can be happy with ourselves and we can be happy with God. Yes, He's giving me everything I have. But sometimes, having everything also, like very little things. Like I remember a few days ago, somebody was sharing with me that, you know, um, she's happy with everything, but she said one of her friend for something she became, there was a misunderstanding and she was not talking to her, and that kept bothering her. And she said, I don't know what's going on. She stopped talking to me, and I feel, somewhere a little discontent inside, and I'm not feeling that happy. Wish this relationship, like this friendship I have with this person, the misunderstanding goes away and it works well. So sometimes happiness in relationships, maybe we feel sometimes tricky, right? Like somebody said something or something happened in relationship, it really pricks the soul, and very easily we can lose this happiness. And these days also, like people feel like there was a time when people used to live in like what do you call, like joint families. I remember there was a family in India that I know. I think in one like it's a big house they have, and there are like 40 people live together with children and brothers and sisters and in-laws and everyone together. And so how did they manage, all of them? And they're but later you see that families have become more nuclear, want to actually live in smaller portions, and less of people is better way feeling. So are relationships, happy relationships, really possible? What are some of the things that we can actually reflect on to have to have that happiness in relationships? Actually, what is happiness in relationships? So tonight we'll be discussing this, and we have our lovely sister, our powerful sister, wonderful sister, Kamla with us. And Sister Kamla was there with us a few times, right? A few weeks ago, also she was there. So, it's lovely that Sister Kamla made time and she's with us. Thank you, Sister Kamla.
Thank you, Madhvi, for having me, and thanks everyone that I could be here with you tonight.
It's always lovely to have you.
Om Shanti, sister.
Om
Om Shanti, Sister Kamla.
Om Shanti, Sister Kamla.
friends.
Om Shanti, Sister Kamla.
Om Shanti.
I could see we're going to have a great evening tonight.
I like it. Big smile. I like your smile.
Because I see your smile too. Actually, I'm not seeing any faces in front of me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Sister Kamla has a nice smile, definitely. And so, yes, Sister Kamla, what are your thoughts about, this relationship aspect? And what do you think about happiness in relationships? Any thoughts to begin with? And then, of course, we'll continue with the conversation. Thank you.
So I like Madhvi, thank you again. But I liked that whole image you brought up of, extended families. And there are some countries it's still happening, like many, many families coming together. And I even remember some thoughts that were shared in the Murlis regarding families many years ago living together, and it's one family living with a lot of love and unity and togetherness. And it just brought this whole memory back. It was such a lovely feeling because I personally did not live in extended family, but they were my uncles. Maybe 5 of them lived together with their wives and their children. And it used to be such a bonding that until today, they still are bonded together. And I used to wonder, like, what is it that is creating that togetherness, that relationship? What is it that is sustaining that relationship? I think we all need that, or we need to know how we can cement our relationship with each other and to constantly be in that experience of happiness, of enjoying the other company and whatever it is in life that we are doing with others. That's the basic, I think, principle of why are we alive? It is just for myself, or is it, like you mentioned, living by yourself and being happy with yourself? It's not enough because this is a shared planet, it's a shared space. And as much as we know that everybody's different and will be different, I cannot change them. So I need to accept that everybody are different. They will be different anyhow. But what is some of the underlying qualities I could keep within myself that can connect with the other souls so that it can be sustained relationship? And of course, there are many, many points that came up, but one of it, of course, we know love is the most important factor in the human life. When you have, and I'm not even talking about love, but spiritual love, because there is that feeling of appreciating another, because each one is different and each one brings different things to the table. Whatever it is, what you can do is different from what I can do, but together there is this cohesiveness of many individuals. And I could only give you a practical example of here in Peace Village. I was thinking there are about 18, sometimes 20 of us, mostly 18, and different background, different culture. Some don't speak the language. And it's amazing. Today I was having a conversation with someone, and the feeling was we're all together on the same platform. We have learned to accept each other, and we are working together as a unit together, and also appreciating what each one does. And I think over the years, it has built this kind of, it's not just love, but also trust and faith in each one for what they're doing, because what one can do, I can do that. So there is this natural appreciation, and also noticing the virtues of each person. And this has, I think, I can only relate to this experience, is that my first time to live in such a big gathering, and and personally what I did, because when I came in the beginning, I did not know a lot of these souls. And of course, understand some of them are coming from different culture. So I personally start working on myself of paying attention to each one and noticing like what is special about that person. And I may not say it, sometimes I'm just quiet, but internally I am aware of that. And I really, really bring those virtues to my heart. And for me, that is important. I may not necessarily express it to the other person, but this has helped me to, bring that feeling of happiness, of togetherness. And this is the family. This is the family I'm going to live with. This is the family I will enjoy the company with. And I think it has to do with some kind of inner work with myself first, initially, of openness and acceptance and love and trust. And so there are many, many other nurturing qualities that comes into play. So I just wanted to share that, Madhvi.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think it's beautiful. You started with this word love, the great virtue of love, that bonds all of us together. Um, and so, do you think, like, happy relationships begin also from a balance of uh, being with people? At the same time, you are not actually losing a relationship with your own self, right? So it's like, from what you're sharing, Sister Kamlan, all these beautiful virtues you have, shared about, and especially the powerful virtue of love. So this aspect came to my mind that, it's about that balance of living with yourself, knowing yourself, having a relationship with yourself, and then from there also you're having a relationship with everyone. So sometimes in relationship, it's like, I think when we talk about love, and especially these days, love gets so much mixed with attachment, and we think, oh, I have so much love for my relationships, and I didn't even know when it actually turned into attachment. And so especially when we talk about, parents and children, that sort of relationships. And, sometimes you ask mothers, how are you? And they'll all talk about is their children. And not even thinking about, you asked a question about yourself. You've asked a question about them, and they start talking about their kids. And so somewhere this attachment actually pulls, and the attention from yourself to others. So I'm seeing like what the,
Madhvi, 1 second. Can you continue? I'll be with you in a minute.
sure. So I was saying that, it's very important. I think if we want to maintain like good relationships in life, I think it definitely begins from having a relationship with the self first. Um, until and unless I don't have a relationship with my own self, then, you know, uh, a relationship with others seem wonderful and I want them in life. But then somewhere I start to lose myself because I'm not still connected to my own self. And so what happens is that I can take relationships very, very personal. Then I want someone to be in a certain way, act certain way, because I have created a void inside myself, not connecting to my own self, not spending time with my own self. And so, not connecting to my own self, and that is also not good. So the way I see is that, having happy relationship is definitely, first and foremost is creating a relationship, a beautiful bond with my own self. If I don't have that beautiful bond with my own self, then I'm actually not grounded. Then that will definitely, definitely create thoughts or dependency in relationships. And the moment there is dependency in relationships, I think happiness start to fluctuate. Because then when that person is there, I'm happy. When that person isn't there, I'm not happy. When that person listens to me, I'm happy. When that person doesn't listen to me, I'm unhappy. uh, right? All these imbalances begin to take place. So I think this is what spirituality teaches us. The first and foremost is have a very deep relationship with your own self. So what is having a relationship with my own self is like spending some time with myself is also very important. Knowing myself is also very important. See, that brings aware, because I value myself, then I know how others are feeling at a particular time. I have that empathy towards others. When I don't value my own self, then how will I value my relationships? So, giving some time for myself is very important. That means also having, first of all, empathy on your own self, mercy on your own self. If I don't have that compassion on my own self, then I don't have that compassion towards my relationships as well. See, many times it happens that, when it's time, like, for you to spend some time with yourself or meditate, go for a retreat, we always keep it aside. We say, oh no, I'm busy with my kids, I'm busy with this, I'm busy with that, you know and so we tend to actually give time to our relationships, which is good, but I have forgotten my own self. Uh, so in this whole process of not giving myself time, then at some point I'm creating a void inside myself. I remember many years ago, um, I met a lady, and she was talking to me, and she started having actually tears in her eyes, and she said, I'm 50 now, and I gave so much of time to my children and, my family members and all of that. And somehow I feel a kind of void inside myself now. I'm 50, and what did I do for myself? Like, somewhere she lost herself in trying to impress and keep relationships happy. So she said, now my children are gone off to, study and this and that. And I feel so empty inside. See, that should not happen.
Madhvi, excuse me.
Yes.
Is there anything you need to do to start my video? It says with the whole.
Oh, yes, yes. Can you start now?
Sorry, I had to shift my bed.
It's okay. So, so Sister Kamla, I was sharing that how important it is to have a relationship with my own self to create happy relationship with others. That balance is very important. And I was just sharing an example of I met somebody many years ago, and she was very unhappy. Not very unhappy, but she was having tears. And some point, like she was feeling empty inside. Having all her close relationships were gone off to work, or to other countries. And she said, what did I do for myself? So I think it becomes very important that I actually connect to my own self, know myself, give time for myself. I think doing things for yourself is also very important. I'm not talking about just, okay, giving time for yourself and going for walks and all are wonderful, but also spiritually, also giving time to yourself, being grounded, valuing yourself. Because when I value myself, then I know how to value my relationship. I know where others are coming because I'm so much in touch with my own self. Then I know where the other person is coming from. Sometimes we get very frustrated with relationships. Why this person is not actually listening to me, or they're not behaving the way I want. Um, but maybe the person is going through something. So I think when I'm grounded with myself, then I know where that a person is actually coming from. And sometimes maybe I need a little more patience with that person, how they're behaving, or having that aspect of empathy. I think that's what gets created when I have a relationship with my own self, that empathy. And so this balance of knowing myself, giving time for myself, and giving time for my relationship, I think that definitely creates a happy bond, a more strong relationships.
Yeah, yesterday we were with a group and the same things came up. And it's interesting you're touching on some of those areas. There are some people who perhaps have never spent time with themselves. And it's always, especially like being at home and parents and taking care of children and taking care of so many things. And there is definitely that human connection with everyone until one day, then the house is empty. Everybody has moved on their life. And then you're left with yourself and you want to know, like, what do I do with myself? I don't know how to be with myself. I don't know what to do. And this is when there is this realization that I've actually haven't taken the chance to be with myself, to enjoy being with myself. And it's always about people and others and things to do. But I think this is a foundation. If we have the understanding, I come first. And however I nurture myself, that's what I'm going to give to others in a natural way. And yes, there is definitely that fine line of love and attachment because, sometimes we say in the name of love, we are doing, we are not attached to anyone or anything. We're doing it with a lot of love. But yet, when the person is not there or for some reason the scenes of life change, there is this big empty void in us. There's this big space that what has happened. So this one person shared with me that initially she never used to like being in silence. Who wants to be by themselves all the time? But because of the pandemic and what's happening, she is, just by herself. But now, because she's integrating meditation into her practice, she's saying, I am loving the silence. I am enjoying every moment. I'm nurturing myself, my spirit. So I think this is the foundation which we were never taught growing up. Nobody ever told us that, it's yourself. It's always about doing and giving and being in a certain way for others. Now we are being taught, no, you come first. You have to love yourself first. You have to care for yourself because in love also, it's not just love. With love comes care for the self. And this has been coming up a lot of times because when we neglect ourselves, we don't care for ourselves. And as a result, we suffer, right? So, real love, like someone said today, I don't know where I got this from. I am having a date with myself. I'm having a date with myself. I said, what? You're having a date with yourself? Yes, I'm spending time with myself. I'm doing all the things I want to do. I'm enjoying being with myself. And I think that's a good way to start this recognition. Because once I feel sustained and full inside, then I wouldn't feel this void and emptiness or loneliness, even if I'm living alone because of whatever reason. But I wouldn't feel lonely. And especially now, there are lots of chances to do so many things, to be creative and to, you can reach out to the whole world on Zoom. There's so many things to sustain us emotionally, like these programs and, many other activities. So let's make that shift from others into ourselves, and we will be able to give a lot more back to the world, to people, which will foster a very meaningful relationship with others. So, for example, and this comes from the daddies, they used to say, if you give love, you will receive love. If you give respect, you will receive respect. If you give happiness, you will receive it. So, giving what I have, I will receive it back in return. Right? So to look and see what it is I need to sustain myself more with, so I could give and share it with the world. And also that will be natural that I receive it. So just wanted to share these.
Yeah. So listening to you, another question actually comes to my mind is that I think this is something we need to ask ourselves, each one of us, that am I actually happy? Right? Because that's where it begins. No, as you said, when you care for yourself, you're caring for others. When you are, connected to yourself, you're able to connect to others. When you respect yourself, you're able to give respect to others, you said. So I think this is the question I need to ask myself. Am I happy with myself? So I think that's where it begins. Like, also, like, if I'm not happy with myself, how am I going to give happiness in my relationships? No? Am
Mm-hmm.
I going to actually treat my relationships happily? Because then I'm constantly, if I'm in pain, or if I'm in turmoil, or too much of stress, or things are going on in my mind, then if I'm talking to someone, if interacting with someone, that's what I'm giving to others. So immediately I'm bombarding all what is inside me to them. So it just comes back to that, am I happy with myself? And so I think when I am happy, then definitely I'll share that. It does happen, right? Like if I'm sitting with something in my mind, even sometimes, children come to parents, and parents are just, because there's so much is going on, sometimes you just put that stress on the other one. You yell at them, or you get, like, agitated with them. And it happens in relationships, husband doing to wife, or wife doing to husband. And so um, I think, yes, being gentle, and taking moments that create happiness inside me. um, every time checking, is that happy flow inside me? I think if that is not there, again, it comes back to how much I value myself, how much of compassion I have myself. Because if I'm sitting with pain always, uh, pain about the situations, or whatever, sometimes, people do become like touch me not. If even little things can upset them, little things can make them cry. And somewhere, uh, I'm not even realizing I'm becoming such sensitive cookie. I'm becoming inside very sensitive because of the things I'm taking from outside. So I think it's also important that I create this shield. I stay in a space where I'm not becoming like a sponge that is absorbing, whatever is outside out there. Because if I'm absorbing, that's what I'm taking in, and that's what actually I'm giving out again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think also it's how, again, coming back to this aspect of, am I happy? And let me do things that make me happy, and not um, again, happiness again, it's not, again, I'm making my happiness based on something external again, but internally creating that strength of happiness, that even if something has happened, in the flow of my happiness, that something which is negative is becoming very small and not affecting me. But in reality, I feel that we give very less time to ourselves and value very less to ourselves, and that's why we take a lot of things that's happening out there, and we feed ourselves and then create this lot of sensitivity, and which reflects in our relationships.
Okay. I just want to add something small to that. You know, we are the soul and the body, we are human being. And none of us here right now, as we speak, none of us are perfect. We have human interaction. Everyone has weaknesses, everyone has virtues. And what we need to come face to face with reality about ourselves is that I have weaknesses too. And not that I should feel bad about it. We all are going, it's what I call as work in progress stage. And each one would recognize what their defects are, or what their, not even defects, their qualities, what is a good thing and what is, you know, the weakness inside of that being. So I am aware, okay, I have this weakness, but let me not let that consume my mind in thinking, oh, I'm not good. Sound. Let me not be scared of these areas or these facts about that. That face reality, yes, I made a mistake today. It's okay. Just move on. So still loving the self. It's just like parents and the little children. It doesn't matter what the child does. That parent loves the child unconditionally. So I'm the child for myself. So whether I did not do well today, or whether, I, did something not so good, still love the self. It's okay. And give that encouragement to the self and move on. And also with regards in relationship to others, everyone has also their weaknesses. But this practice of which I thought was very useful, is to think of all the small things they have done that are so beautiful in a tangible way, all the beautiful things they have done that you have seen, and to keep that in focus of that soul, to highlight that God would have seen the speciality in this person, or, people would have seen the speciality. So let me think about that. And also to practice, let the past be the past. So in this moment, I put a full stop, and whatever happened 5 minutes ago, to have the ability to release it. Because I find a lot of the past comes back into the present and disturbs us, and then we are not able to move on effectively in life. But this point I was told by Daddy Janki many, many years ago. And she had said that when you put a full stop, past is past. It's over, it's gone, it's finished, it's another chapter. But I need to remember that. I need to remember that it's gone, it's a different chapter. And also, if I know this person 10 years ago, and this is how I used to know them, that they were like this kind of person. Let's say they were maybe egoistic, or they were something, some negative aspect about them. And when that comes in my mind now, I will think about, oh, in the past, this is how they used to do and be. But I need to move away from that and think about every moment individuals are changing. So what they were 10 years ago, now they are different. So I need to see the newness and speciality. So I believe there are many, many subtle lessons in life that when we are enlightened, we become more aware, and we have more tools to use that will help us to make this huge shift in ourselves, and also, of course, in our interaction with others. And recently it was said something about, I need to nurture myself in such a way and educate myself spiritually so that I grow emotionally. When I grow emotionally, like one of our, we can say Mama, as most of them know, the senior mother of the organization, she dealt with so many hundreds of people, helping to take care, helping to nurture. But the way she sustained herself was that she was always in a happy space, never sad, never depressed, never upset, never tense. because the way she sustained and took the knowledge spiritually and really imbibed it in her heart. She could be with anyone, she could share with thousands of people, and she's very much aware of their weaknesses and their flaws. But this, I think, is a very special quality of mothers, of nurturing, of giving. And she was not a physical mother, she was just spiritual mother. So to actually learn these lessons about, I have been given tools. Maybe before I didn't have these tools, but I'm being given all these tools that I need to use to help nurture and sustain myself. And that automatically will help in sustaining others. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, very nice, Sister Kamala. Thank you. I think one of the aspects that you touched upon is that no one is actually perfect.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, Everyone has flaws. Everyone, we're all in the same journey. We're same steamer actually going to a particular, same destination because we all want to be happy. And nobody in the steamer would say, I want to be unhappy. I don't think so. Any soul in the world, want to be unhappy. So yes, definitely a good reminder that, not we all are not perfect. We all have those differences, and accepting those differences is important. But I think sometimes one of the virtues that I'm seeing, it's very important in relationship, is humility. Because sometimes I can assume that I'm actually perfect, and then I can stress others to be the same, not actually having that empathy of, where they come from, what is this one's capacity, understanding level, or, understanding capacity, or and not understanding where that person actually stands from. We can actually stress them out, and unknowingly we can give pain to someone. But yes, I mean, definitely I'm not perfect, and nobody is. But I think this aspect of not having humility, having ego, can actually destroy relationships in a big deal. I think ego is one of the biggest aspect that can destroy relationships in a big deal, because um, it's like, who is bigger, who is greater. That sort of comparison can begin in relationships, and that humility can be lost very quickly. And I think in ego, we're always thinking, um, somewhere I think there is a lot of stress in having ego, and um we forget that we are driving our relationships in ego. And maybe in when I'm driving my relationships in ego, somebody may project that, somebody may show me respect, and that could be a very artificial respect in front of me. And then that person may be very much in the discontentment, with the relationship or with the way I handle things. um, and so ego can really hurt each other in relationships a lot. I think from time to time I really need to check and work on this weed of ego. And if it is sitting there in relationships, and then it can totally destroy the whole garden of relationships. I think a lot of focus needs to be given. I remember many years ago, I think I did share this story with with them, about, like, there was this young couple, and uh, I knew her before actually even getting married. And when I used to tell her, come do some meditation, and she says, yeah, okay, I'll do it. But then surprisingly, after she got married, she called me after an year or so. And then she said she was going to the meditation center, and I was surprised that, she was going. And she said, I've realized that if I don't work on my ego, relationships start to break. And it was just a year after, she was sharing this. So she said, I was realizing that I need to work on my ego for this relationship to work better. And so sometimes we don't realize that, how much pain we can give to others based on our ego. And, me right and I, and, this is how it should be, and I'm perfect. And, we can really stress out and destroy relationships sometimes, not
Mm,
bringing any happiness.
definitely. Um, you like others to share, or you want us to continue? They can ask questions.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, anybody wants to say something, chip into what, to the conversation. Anybody has any question that you would like to bring it up?
Om Shanti, Sister Kamla and Madhvi.
Yes, Om Shanti.
Uh,
Your face.
so,
Om Shanti
you
Sudha.
want to see my face? Okay.
Everybody's
Kamla
face.
wants
Like
to see your face.
everybody's face. My friend.
Um, this was very interesting subject about on the happiness, and as you indicated that all the time we think about other people. The same story repeat with myself too. All the time I was thinking about family, responsibility, and I thought my life was in New York subway all the time, and I thought if I never take a 7 number train, I won't survive. And I look at last 1 year, not having a 7 number train, and still you made it. And this whole year give me a like a um, I have to be bottom of my heart. I'm so much thankful to all of you for conducting this session with helping a lot of people to find who they are. Because we never had a time to think about ourselves. And also society also told us not to think, or you have to think about other family all the time. And it's not like we have a fault because we never think about ourselves, because the way we are brought up, like always think about others, take care of others, do this, do this. You are either you are the youngest or the oldest in the family. That's your responsibility. And then nobody taught us to think about yourself. It's not like you be selfish or self-centered, but then if you don't have in yourself, you are not going to give anybody anymore. And you empty out everything from your life, and then when you become older, then you think you're nothing. But not like you've given up everything. Like if you have a well and you take it out all the water, then well became empty. The once in a while well need to be like a nature has to put the water, and a well has to sustain too. And I think this whole thing is, I, to be very honest with you, it helping me so much. All the focus, energy, concentration, everything came back. Previously, I thought I'm a lonely, I cannot survive on my own. Without the people, I can't survive. And it was hard. It's not easy. It was very, very hard. But now I like my silence. I love my silence. And that give me more energy. So Om Shanti, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely.
Thank you, Sudha. Yeah. Listening to Sudha, also one other thing that comes to my mind is also about, of course, we touched upon, like, Sister Kamla, what you were sharing about past is past. Don't bring the past things and spoil your present right now. I think definitely that is one of the aspects of happiness for sure, because many times we live in this happiness, we live in the past, but some experience very tough relationships. They may be living with a very tough person, and constantly they are bombarded, with with whatever goes on in that relationship. And many people find it very hard to forget the past. They're scared of even talking to that person, or they become very timid inside, closed inside. They don't want to be in that relationship anymore. So what do you think, Sister Kamla, is one of the ways that we can actually forget the past? What is the way that you can make past is past? Because especially in relationship, it's very, people find it hard to forget the past, because they have sometimes very negative experiences.
I don't think that's a very good question. I don't think there is any one of us who haven't met mean people. There are some in this lifetime. We have so many mean people we have met. Of course, maybe they are not meant to be mean, but maybe ego is showing up or whatever is in the soul. But yes, in the past, personally, when I was growing up as a child, you get affected by every little thing and take a lot of sorrow and pain in the heart, which was not good for health also. But this understanding and this realization that there's another picture that we should be thinking about, and that was the law of karma, that we are sharing this planet with so many souls, but also we all have some kind of maybe some leftovers from the past in the present. And what we did not finish in the past, it will come in the present. Because before I did not have this wisdom. Now, being educated, that the teachings of the Brahma Kumaris on the law of karma is that it's going to come to me, but what I have to be sure is that I don't activate what's the old in me, the old sanskaras, right? It's going to come, and it will kind of want to intimidate all these old negative things that I've had in the past, and want to create the anger or create the resentment or create even jealousy, whatever may come out. But if I apply this wisdom in the moment that, the soul is coming with all this stuff, and sometimes it's good to be an observer yourself, is to watch two individuals, but notice like all this stuff from their past. And the reason why people are so like, I think, very intense in their nature, it's also that very, very, very strong sanskars of past, which they have not cleared up. It's there, and it is going to show up in the present. Now, that's their job. They have to do that. I cannot take away their sanskars or clean it up. But what I can do now is learn the art of how I need to protect myself from people's negativity. It's quite important that I need not to contribute in their negativity, or not to activate again, because it's like it will go on and on. The cycle will go on, and when will it stop? So I have to be the one to start thinking, how can I put a stop to this cycle? I am going to change this cycle, and it has to come with me. And of course, we know in meditation, I don't have the power, but if I really intensely connect or link my voyage of connection with Baba, with God, he will give me so much power that it will really protect myself like a sheen. And actually, I had an experience a long time ago. And a long time ago, this person came with a lot of, I don't know what it was, this force and this anger and this whatever it was. And I had no clue why they were behaving in this way. But guess what? It was just an eye-opener experience. Like someone stand in front of you, like, protect you. Like they say, if somebody's coming to shoot another person, that other person jumps in front. And I just felt like God came in front of me. I didn't see anything, but I just felt. And he was taking all the bullets. Everything that was being showered was going to him and not me. Because after that experience faded, I was just myself. I was like light and I was happy. Nothing affected my heart. And I just, that one experience always stay that, yes, bring, if I don't have the power, bring that power there, because I don't have the detailed understanding of karma. I don't know anything about past, who said what, who did what, and what is the connection with that soul and me. Must have been a lot of complicated things. But now in meditation, when I bring Baba in between me, then he will take those. And I think there is a memorial of that when, of course, they say it in a different way that God takes the poison. He takes all the negativity away. But then that also becomes my protection. Yeah, but sometimes we can't find answers for past things at all in the present. They're so deep rooted. It's like a tree. I think in Harmony House, if you've been, and even maybe here in Peace Village, there are some big, tall trees, and the roots of that tree runs for so far, like you would never believe underground how far it is gone. So it tells me that there is all these connections of past with people and places and different lifetime, now that perhaps would be coming for me. They're coming in front of me to say, hey, I am there. You remember? We need to finish this account. So it's, if I do remember that and take Baba's help, God's help, then that's the only way to safeguard myself, I think.
Yeah, I think it's well said about, connecting back to that source, God. And I think in the last couple of sessions also we were talking about how He's the ocean of happiness. And it's important that we connect. And yes, this past accounts, I like what you've shared about, you emerged, you know, uh, it's like, all the bullets were going to, uh, it's like they were going to God, you felt, and you were more safeguarded and you were protected. Um, and I think it's so right that, sometimes we don't feel the capacity to actually finish something from the past. It keeps in, it stays in our mind. But I think definitely this practice of meditation, some silence, and then especially connecting to the source gives the soul that power to finish the past. And definitely a soul um, can erase that past with that source help, with God's help. All I need to do is, as you said, He takes the waste, He takes the poison from us. And so I need to give it to Him. Sometimes we say, God, take it, and we are still keeping it with us. he said, He says, like, um, you just said, like, okay, God help me with it. But I also have to take that one step of courage to give it to Him. And then, I don't want to think about this. I don't want to keep. And sending good wishes to the soul. Whatever has happened has happened. Okay, I'm closing this chapter. I want to really give it to you and then finish it off. And so I think in this whole journey of our life, our relationship with God, I think it's the most important thing, with that source. I think without that beautiful relationship with the self and the source, here, it's, and then I'm spreading that here. So the way I'm actually seeing is going inwards is connecting, having a relationship with the self, and going upwards is having a relationship with the source, with God. And then whatever I'm experiencing inwards and upwards, I'm actually sharing that outwards with everyone. And I think that's what definitely can, make us create those happy relationships. And I think, yeah, definitely there are so many aspects to these happy relationships. Anybody wants to say anything else? Any other question or any other
Yeah.
comment? Please
Okay.
go.
I have one question for both of you. Um,
Sure.
um, like a, for example, I have started my journey and I'm changing. But you live in a family. There are from childhood, your family, your brother, sister, everybody know your weaknesses as well. You are a success. They are also getting older, but sometimes they don't want it to. They hold you so much. They don't want to let you go. You see, you are changing, but they still wanted to pull you back. So how you back? You don't wanted to give up your family members. You love them, but at the same time, you realize it now. Whatever they are saying, it's not good for you, because sometimes they don't want it to let go. So sometimes family or parent or relative hold you back. Whatever the reason, we know that they need a company, they like you, but at the same time, they don't want it to let you go. So how you balance out? Like your journey is already started. You are you have already moving forward. You don't want the old one, but sometimes they remind you you're old, you do used to the. How you balance it out? Because it's still bothering you. You don't want it to hurt their emotion and a feeling. Like these are your sisters in 90, 80. You don't want it to just let them go or make them upset. But at the same time, you don't like it too. So how you balance those things?
So I am Madhvi, if you don't mind.
Please go ahead, Sister Kamala. Yeah.
Like we said, we cannot change what's in another person's mind. I have met even their relatives, like you rightly said. And if I'm going to meet them after I haven't met them for 20 years, but when I do meet them, they're just stuck with what happened about 35 years, 40 years ago. And that's all they know. That's because they don't have the capacity to change that. That's their world. That's what they're being sustaining themselves with. And of course, you said something nice. Your journey has started. Okay. Your journey has started. You're becoming enlightened and you're seeing things differently. And so you have to move forward. And it doesn't matter what people will say or do. And I'm thinking about, especially on this path, when we started on this journey, then many people say many things and they remind you of many things, but we knew this was what we wanted. This is the focus. And that determination and that understanding of what is true for me, because it's my journey. As much as we are in the collective, my journey is my journey. How do I want my journey to be? So I have to just hold on to the truth and continue to move in that direction. And whether it's not today or tomorrow, they all will come at some point to accept and to see that transformation in you. And I've seen it happening within my own family in terms of relatives who did not support this lifestyle, did not support young girls starting on this journey. And of course, we waited after maybe 20, 30 years, how they have accepted, how they have appreciated, and how they themselves are coming on this path. It's an amazing thing to see. So I don't should not get frustrated and think when they will change, they're not changing. You just continue on your journey because you are going to be helping all these souls who are you connected with. Yes. So I don't know if that answers, but maybe Madhvi has something else to say.
No, I think absolutely very beautifully you've explained, and I think I agree with you totally. And just adding to that, people do notice, like sometimes, they say that you're changing, like, you're transforming for the better. They may feel sometimes, no, you should be with us, like us, but somewhere in their heart, like people do notice what you're doing, and if not today, at least tomorrow, as you said, they will appreciate. And not only that, they're somewhere in a very incognito way, they're learning, they're observing you, what you're doing. And sometimes if I say I am meditating and then I'm still engaging in something which is not so elevated, even that people will notice. Oh, you said you will meditate, you meditate, what is this, you spoke something like this, or you got engaged in this. So people observe what you do. It's um, and so, yeah, what you think is right, and if you feel true, yes, go ahead in that truth. And it's not about others, it's about my journey, and then I share that with others. Yes.
Yeah, Sister Madhvi, I just had a question. Like as Sister Kamla just said that, we should forget about the past, right? So, and move forward. So let's suppose like a person, right? Every time, not every time, but at least once or twice a year, whenever you meet, he or she repeats the same thing, whenever you meet. So like in that period of 1 year, you try to forget, okay, what is done, no more thinking. But the same thing is being repeated by that person. Maybe it's, yeah, like, unnecessary yelling or saying bitter words or some kind of aggression shown towards you. So then at that point, like, you took so much of time to come, to forget that past, and then it's being rewinded again. So how do you overcome with that rewinding which is being done to you?
Sister
Madhvi,
Kamla? Sister Kamla, you go ahead.
yeah, actually, now think about it. If you've heard this expression, some people are stuck. You know what
Yes.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Stuck means
Like,
that they are in their own, whatever they have captured in that time, that's all it's in their world. That's all they
okay.
see. That's all they're going to talk about. If
Mm-hmm.
somebody comes to me and they say, Kamla, you made this mistake, and they keep reminding me, 10 years ago, I made a mistake, and they keep bringing this over and over, then in my mind, because now I'm enlightened, I will see that this soul is stuck. I have moved on after 10 years. I'm not going to allow myself to be stuck, but that's where
Mm-hmm.
they are. So you have to see it in the perspective of an observer. This is where they are, because you know from the way they're speaking. And it's interesting that you say that, because there are some people, when they talk about stories, and it has to do about many, many, many years ago, and I really feel pity for those souls, because poor things, they haven't moved forward in their life. This is where they are after 10 years. It's amazing. Now, for
Okay.
me or for you, we have moved on. It's like
Mm-hmm.
going in a ship. You have almost reaching your destination, and they're still there at the shore. They haven't moved. So what we
Okay.
have to do is to have mercy and compassion for that individual, and hope that one day they're also going to move on their journey. But I can't do anything about that, in a sense that, of course, not allow myself to go back into the past. If I
Mm-hmm.
allow myself to get affected, then it means there is a connection. It's something that's still linking myself with what they are saying. And that's why I'm feeling bad. So if I have moved on emotionally, mentally, even psychologically, I've moved on.
Mm-hmm.
This takes work within the individual. But then I notice that even if they bring up all these things, it's not affecting me. So then I
Oh,
moved on. No?
okay. And how do you help someone to move on? Like, let's suppose my mother, she had some bitter experiences in the family, but I don't know why. It's because of her aging or what. Suddenly she would bring what happened to her 20, 30 years back. And then, we tell her like, Mom, what has happened. Then, but she tries to forget it. But she says like, suddenly I would have a thought, and that pinches her, like, when she was so good to the person in the family, why was she, you know given that kind of treatment? So,
Because souls don't have the power to release it. So I think on your side, you have to give a lot of love and just good wishes and lots of love, so that, they say when a little child has something in his hands, and you
mm-hmm,
want to take it away, and they say, no, it's my toy, I'm not giving you. And you
mm-hmm,
show them something nicer,
okay,
then they release what they have, and they say, oh, I like this. So
mm-hmm.
it's just giving her all the positive love, and changing that shift of emotion by, of course, what you're experiencing in your life.
Okay.
But of course, there are more to it, but because of limitation of time.
Yeah, no, but that was really very enlightening to get that message from
Nice
you.
questions, all of you. So
Thank
that's
you.
Madhvi, you want to say anything?
No, I think you shared beautifully. Um, anybody else would like to say anything, comment? Otherwise, Otherwise, we can sit in few minutes.
Gladys, I was thinking about you.
Sister Kamla, how you doing?
Hi,
I was
nice.
rushing. I was driving, so I hear your
Okay,
your
okay.
class. And
I was
really,
looking, I said, oh, Gladys is not here.
no, I was listening, yes, and I just got here. So thank you so much for such a deep and beautiful class. I greatly appreciate it, and please don't leave us. Don't forget us.
Never, never.
We need more. Yes.
I give you all a virtual hug.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That was really a very nice gesture. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Om
Thank
Shanti.
you. Om
Thank you.
Shanti.
Yeah, hi, Laura Tom, Shanti.
Hi, Sister Madhvi. Usually I don't use the camera.
That's okay.
Nice to see your
Oh, there
beautiful
you go.
faces.
You're
All of you.
there.
Hi,
Nice to see you, Laura.
all of you. Is Shirley online? Shirley
Hi,
here?
thank you very much for your session.
Oh, thank you.
I guess I have the lights. It was excellent, like always. I really appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. So, shall we close with few moments of meditation, Mr. Kamla?
Mm-hmm.
Will you guide us?
Sure.
Maybe 3-4 minutes should be good.
Sure. Okay, let's all sit and conclude this beautiful session with meditation. So sitting and being with ourselves in a very meaningful way. Take a few minutes to be with the self and to enjoy being with the self. As if this is the first time you're looking at yourself in a different way, in a meaningful way. As a soul, I have lots of talents, lots of specialities, lots of beautiful qualities, which perhaps have been hidden deep inside of the self. Taking time to appreciate these qualities, not focusing on that which is weak or negative, but just focusing on the positive and appreciating myself, valuing myself for who I am, not waiting for others to appreciate me, whether they appreciate me or not. But I know I am this wonderful soul, special soul, with a beautiful part to play on this world drama stage of life. There is no one like me. In fact, each individual that makes up this whole world population, each one is different. Each one is special. Each one is unique. And it's just like having a vase with flowers. Flowers are of variety. And yet, coming together creates a beautiful bouquet of colors, of fragrance, of beauty. So let me reflect on what it is I have that contributes to bringing the speciality of creating a beautiful world. Let me think about all the beautiful things I have inside of me that has been given as a gift by God Himself, the one who flourishes, who radiates, who showers all the beautiful qualities. And the more I foster a deeper relationship with this one, with the Supreme, the more I become charged with His virtues, with His powers, with His speciality. As the saying goes, God is the ocean of love. Love is a quality, love is a virtue, love is a power. And the more I absorb love, the more I absorb happiness, it becomes part of me. So let me spend every day few minutes to absorb the rays of the sun of knowledge into myself. And then that will be radiated through my eyes, through my words, through my interaction with everyone. So spending quality time to truly love and appreciate the self and valuing each moment as life is precious, time is precious, and today will not repeat, it will disappear. Tomorrow, a different day, different scenario. So enjoying each moment as it comes and creating that legacy of life for myself. A beautiful legacy. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.